Hey HannahMouse1 here, welcome to part 15 of my Fixing Your Scratch project series, where I take the projects that you submit to me and I show you how I transform the base concept into a fully fledged game. As we're getting back into spooky season, we're going to be making over a horror game, Peekaboo by... Muchacn, something like that. Now, Scratch can be a little bit strict when it comes to horror games, but oh well, let's live dangerously, shall we? Peekaboo is a Five Nights at Freddy's style game where you have to use a torch to deter enemies as they creep up on you down a dark corridor. If I had to describe my issues with the original game, I'd have to say it's a tad bit messy. I'd say that the game is really fun, but that the code and sprite situation is massively overcomplicated, and the art could do with a decent tidy up. I also noticed small things like the flashlight not coming on when you press the indicated F key. I started by tidying up the art, redoing the art for the two enemies, the Peekamoose and the Peekaduck, because I'm sorry, but this is not a moose. And with my design, I leant more into the plushy look with its pose, and I gave it multiple costumes in increasing degrees of creepiness, and will switch through these as it gets closer to you. I then remade the corridors, and I decided to make it so you have to look between two different corridors and a central room in between. I feel like it's more intense if you have to take your eyes off of where the threat comes from. I made it so you can shift left and right with the arrow keys, or A and D, and I made a smooth transition between the directions, which I really like. I also refined the torch system, creating an overlay for when it's on or off. I changed the hotkey from F to Q because if you're using W, A, S and D controls, Q tends to be in a more comfortable position to press. I made it so that using the torch runs down its battery and that it switches off when the battery hits 0. And I created UI for the battery life using the smooth health bar code that I first saw in a Grith patch tutorial but have used myself many a time since. Next, I created a clock system, stealing the mechanics straight from FNAF with the 12 AM to 6 AM survival time, with each hour lasting 1 minute. To tell the player how long they have left, I've created a little clock to sit on the dresser in the central room, and I created a windscreen that you go to if you last out the clock. The final thing I needed to do to round out the primary gameplay loop was to sort out the enemies. I made it so that they slowly approach from one of the corridors and that shining them with your torch makes them run away. I animated their jump scares and created a game over screen for when you lose. I added a replay button to this menu and then reskinned this screen to create the main menu that appears before you start the game. Finally, I worked on the audio side of the project. I generated some static in Audacity to run under the entire game, and for the enemies I used the pan audio block to tell the player which side the movement was on by having it play only in one ear. I also threw together a simple soundtrack. It didn't need much given the static ambience that's already there, and added that in the background on a loop. So from this to this. That's how I remade Peekaboo by Muchacn. But apart from that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. It lets me know that this is something you'd like to see more of. Join the Discord or submit your own project, both linked down below. And I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!